Hello, I'm Dr. Ava Frick. Thank you for joining in today to this awesome program summit. And my focus is going to be to help you understand a little bit about my LifeExtend method, but really it's about engendering you to have that bigger picture, to be able to look at what's happening and see it from a broader perspective. And this is part of the principles of functional medicine. And I have, over the years, integrated this into my practice. So my LifeExtend method uses functional medicine, and we're going to visit about that today. It has an aspect of body kinetics. We look at the posture, the motion, how the body is being able to be utilized by that animal. I also integrate some Ayurveda, and then definitely nutrition, those supplements, the vitamins and minerals, and actually knowing exactly what about them is low or high so that you can make a better approach to those recommendations and suggestions. Functional medicine, then, is a model of care that offers a patient-centered approach to chronic disease management. It seeks to actually ask the question, why is your pet ill? Why are you ill? What is the underlying etiology? And then create a plan for that. We look at a breakdown of how this fits in. We have the traditional, or what is considered conventional medicine. So this is very diseased focused. You know, it's the surgery, it's the medicine, it's kind of like the military with the swords and the guns going after with the kill approach. You know, let's get rid of it, let's stop it. And it certainly has a place as we've morphed into being able to have a broad range of a lot of different medications to help in a situation. But it's not the only thing. Then we have the complementary medicine. And early on, you would also hear the word alternative. And that was really a point of reference that the AMA had implemented to make it look like all these other things, Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, things that had been utilized, Native American cultures, herbs, all of these things had been used for thousands and thousands of years, were only maybe somewhat helpful. Like, you could do one or the other, but you couldn't do both. They were in that position to have to make a choice. And that's not the case now. So we look at complementary medicine as it complements, it's bringing those things together. And certainly there are practitioners where complementary medicine, so maybe acupuncture is their only focus. Chinese trained acupuncturists, or maybe that Ayurveda, which also does include some conventional medicine along with it. But so you're looking at maybe one only does chiropractic, which would be a complementary focus. And then we have the integrative medicine. So this is where it blends the two. An integrative practice could be that there's a traditional veterinarian there along with a veterinarian who does nutrition, who does acupuncture, who does chiropractic, those others. Or we also have now, even in the human venue, where there's an MD who is also trained in naturopathy, an MD who's a functional medicine, a chiropractor who's been trained in functional medicine. So we have this integrative where it's bringing that conventional and that complementary and pulling them together either within one practice or one practitioner. So this is where we come about then to look at functional medicine. It's very patient focused. We look about the foundations of that individual's lifestyle and all the aspects that have got them to where they are today, and also then blending in all the science and the research. So we'll look a little bit more about this. So with functional medicine, we're really looking at the root causes. So if you see the tree here, the top of the tree are the diagnoses. It's the identity of what it is. So it's cognitive dysfunction or irritable bowel, autoimmune diseases, diabetes, allergies, been diagnosed with liver disease, kidney disease, any of those things happening, immune deficiencies, the thyroid problems, the arthritis. So this is the identity that it's been given. But going below the surface, what is the actual cause? Is it a nutritional deficiency or a nutritional excess? Does it have something to do with stress? And then what that's doing to the autonomic nervous system, the adrenals and the thyroid? Is stress the source of the problem? Leaky gut, what's created that? Are there toxins, heavy metals, maybe some kind of a hormone imbalance, parasites, molds? Certainly, molds can come in not only seasonally, depending on where you live and the humidity in the air, but also grains and things that are in the foods bring in molds and toxins that way. And then another aspect that I realized isn't in the roots that we're seeing here is about the biomechanics of that individual. What is the posture? Is the posture supporting those internal organs, or is it leading to weakening of those? How does that individual move and navigate? So there could be a situation where there's pain. All right, is the pain from an injury? Are there old scars? Is it a subluxation of the first cervical vertebra and this individual actually needs chiropractic adjustments, and that would help with what's happening? So we got to look at this really, really big picture, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. So if we start with the environment, is that environment pleasing, or does that environment create emotional upsets? One example would be that a certain number of cats in a household get along fine. You bring in another one, and all of a sudden, life's not so pretty anymore. Same way with dogs. Sometimes two can do well. A third one, you've always got the odd man out. Sometimes the personality of one doesn't get along with the other. Maybe it's the sexes. Sometimes a male and a female is better than two males or two females. Their living environment. All right, where do you live? Is it close to a street? Are there a lot of fumes? Is it close to a factory? Is it out in the country? Looking at that, and how is that a part of this individual's overall health? And then the family situation. Is it happy? In situations where divorces are going on and emotions are running high, the poor dogs in that house, and the cats too, they find themselves wanting to go hide. They can be very upset because of what's happening. And then that mental stress is going to affect the adrenal glands and their digestion, and then poor absorption, assimilation. All of that is about the environment as well. And then what are the exposure potentials? So the fumes, maybe you live in a condo complex where Roundup is sprayed all the time, and it's difficult for the dog to go out and walk anywhere that they're not picking that up. And other chemicals, maybe a runoff from someplace. You're at the bottom of a hill and the water runs down and the chemicals then accumulate. So all of those need to be assessed when we're going at this functional medicine approach. So we have the toxins, the chemicals, there's heavy metals. Other exposures could be viruses that aren't necessarily a dog or a cat virus or a horse virus. It could belong to some other species that have gotten in. Bacteria, parasites, these things that can hide. It's called being latent. They just kind of sit around and wait. Even those like little puppies that are born with the roundworms and hookworms, those can stay encysted in the muscle tissue for up to 2 years. At any point in time when the situation is just right, come out and start replicating. So it's not always what you would find on a fecal test or what's going to be obvious. It's those things that aren't obvious that creates the real challenge, is to find out the real why. So radiation, living by high power frequency lines, organic compounds, phthalates, items that are in the grains that are going to inhibit and interfere with the metabolism of the body, all of those kinds of things, additives, chemicals, things being stored in plastics, even pharmaceutical drugs. While they have their function potentially for that body, they can also have side effects. So many drugs will deplete B vitamins, for example, or it interferes with albumin and the ability of albumin to carry those nutrients around. And then we have the flea and tick medicines. And that's not saying that fleas and ticks, we don't want those either, but those are all toxic to the parasite and eventually over time also to the cells of that individual's body. So caution on all of those. And then the lifestyle. All righty. So does the dog love to go to daycare and enjoys it, or does the dog not enjoy daycare? Is there enough activity in an area? Maybe the weather's been really bad and you're not getting out for a walk, or you've been sick and you haven't been taking the dog for a walk. All of those things, especially with dogs, they got that whole time clock sensitivity thing going on. They know exactly what time of day certain things are supposed to happen, and they can get upset about that. So some of them are going to want to socialize more depending on their personality, and other ones may not like it so much. So we need to consider that. Is that whatever their lifestyle is in regards to that. Is that good for them, or is it too much? Sometimes too much of a good thing is no longer a good thing. And then that body function. So we assess the systems, and we do blood tests as well in functional medicine. We look at those organs and glands and tissues. We look at them at that cellular level. We look at not just is a blood level high or low, but we'll also pick up other things on the test because we want to know way at the bottom at the cells, how are they functioning? And so we bring all of this together. And then again, that body functioning, looking at those systems, looking at the posture, making sure that all of that is optimal. And then we create this plan, which includes 4 different steps here. We want to eliminate whatever the problems are. We want to help detox the body and get those things out of there. We want to support the individual and those organs and systems as best we can so that they then can heal and then rejuvenate. So bring everything back to life. Allow them to have the fun and the play and all of that they really so much want and deserve. Starting with nutrition, then, I use this body system approach. Not only do I use the hair tissue mineral analysis testing, but I have a survey, and it's on my website, that helps to break down those body systems, whether it's the endocrine or the digestive or the cardiorespiratory, the liver, gallbladder. We'll look at all of those. And in this survey, it gives us an idea of which systems are struggling the most. So we know where to put the priorities. Because I always look, if you can get at the kingpin, if you can get at the arsonist, then there are no fires. So that's really the approach here. And then when we look at nutrition, there's a lot of different ways to feed. Certainly, there's feeding different age stages that many will use that as part of their philosophy. But you can feed by the dosha, which is Ayurveda. So is that individual primarily Vata, Pitta, or Kapha, and that affects their digestive processes and their body heat and all of that. Breed origination. So I like to look at where did this breed come from originally in history? Where did they live for thousands of years? What did they eat there? And especially in these breeds that have not been in the United States for very long, they are more tightly linked to that genetic, that GE, that genetic entity. And a lot of times, if you can just go back to feeding that type of food, then the individual's body problems start to dissipate because the computer system goes, I know this I can handle and deal with. We also want to be aware that different seasons of the year affect different body changes. So currently we're moving into the fall season. So that's when the trees, they lose their leaves, the fluid goes down to the ground. And that's the same for a lot of body types that live in environments that have these seasons. And so this would be where you would eat rooted vegetables because they can be kept for the winter in a cellar. So we change by the season. You don't just get on one food and that's what they eat all the time. We want this variety. And when you have this variety and when you change with the seasons and when you change with the body metabolism and what it needs to support those different organs, it's like in the spring, the liver's going to do this huge detox to get ready for all these things that are going to happen in the summer. So seasonally, we want to support different organ systems as well. And then the metabolic rate, that has to do with how quickly, when an individual eats, do they turn that food to energy, which is really the purpose of eating, is to have the energy then for the cells to function on. So there are 3 different categories. It's what's called fast metabolism. There's slow metabolism. And then there's what's called a mix, which is actually like one foot on the brake and the other foot on the gas pedal. It's a little bit of a speed stop. But this metabolic rate can be determined via doing the hair tissue mineral analysis test. And then you know better like what to feed. Should I feed a raw diet? Or does this individual need to have a home cooked diet because of their metabolic rate? So there's actually some science behind all of this. And when you can key in on those, oftentimes, then that is going to be part of that functional medicine picture that helps you get your dog or your cat or whoever back on track, as it's saying would go. Limiting toxic exposures. Oftentimes I'll have a client that goes, oh, we don't go anywhere that's toxic. We just in our neighborhood, we're not out traveling a lot. We don't go out to the country, those kinds of things, but it's really everywhere. There is not any place that's not going to garner some type of toxic exposure. Where they walk, I am a big advocate of washing those paws when you come home at night. Have yourself a little system set up with some essential oils, soap, foaming soap, something that's a defatter. You want to get the fats and the oils off the skin because those toxins are going to be set into there. We want to look at the air that they're breathing. Try to not go for walks during those heavy traffic times because there's going to be more fumes and gas and all that. Use some diffusers and air purifiers in the house to help clean the air. And please don't smoke inside. Not good. Not good for you or for them. What are they sleeping on? You know, polyesters, a lot of problems with that. So the fabrics, the type of bedding materials that they have, the foods that they eat, where were they grown, you know, all of those things, the toxins are very sneaky where they come in. Toxic metals are also potential toxins. And the thing about these, again, we can find those, what's in the body on a hair test, but the toxic metals themselves are only there because the body doesn't have all of the right nutrients to keep it supportive, to keep the organs of elimination working, which is the skin, the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, organ of elimination, and then certainly the lymphatic system with that to be able to move things around. Chemicals are everywhere. I mean, every year there's thousands of new chemicals that are being produced. And so being aware that they're just going to be there and have part of your program being a support to help keep them out. And then those inflammatory states. So any kind of an itis, dermatitis, colitis, gastritis, those can be brought on by mental stress. They can also be brought on by the adrenal glands producing too much aldosterone, and it creates a change in the body that leads to those inflammatory states. So there's lots you can do about that. So first we want to look at helping the GI then eliminate those toxins. We want to help the gut to get those out. And we want to make sure that it goes out in the poop and doesn't get resorbed in the colon. So here's some options for you that are very safe, that are natural type products. We can use barley grass juice, 1 to 2 teaspoons in some water or broth that you can allow them to drink or add to their food. Spirulina is another really, really good plant to help with that. Cilantro is very detoxing. Wild blueberries you can add into anything. Parsley. Rabbits really love parsley. It's good for the breath, but it's also really good to help with eliminating toxins. Zeolite. So this is like volcanic ash, and it has many, many, many sides. So all of these sides of those particles, toxins can be trapped to. And Vengeance is a company that actually has a micellized, it means it's in a liquid form that is very readily absorbed. So we have to look at, when we're talking about doing things GI wise, if this individual has GI problems, then it's not going to as easily be able to get rid of those toxins. The picture here is plantain. It's very much considered a weed in most environments. As kids, we used to take them little tops and then pop them at each other. Rabbits love this, but it's a very, very good plant that can be used, clean, put in salads, added to any kind of a home recipe that you're cooking up. We want to help support that liver. Some items that we can use: folic acid or folates, B12, niacin, riboflavin can help, making sure that that individual has enough quality of amino acids and a variety of amino acids. We can raise amino acids via whey, eggs, chia seeds, hemp. Those all have all the amino acids, so you can add a little bit of that in there, making sure that trace minerals available. And the way to know what does your pet need is going to be by doing the hair test. And then the bioflavonoids and milk thistle, even a little bit of garlic. We're not necessarily looking, we don't want to talk about raw garlic in the plant, but there are garlic drops and a little bit that can be added that is also good as a detox. And the thing about that is that the liver is the base of so many etiologies for conditions of things that are happening. The liver has 1,500 jobs to do. And oftentimes it can't do all of them. It has to prioritize. When it's stressed, it can't do all of its jobs. And this is where allergies start. Any kind of an allergy is rooted in a liver that's not doing all of its jobs. So this is very, very key, and a sign that if you've got allergies, we need to look at what can we do to help that liver. Things that you can do then on the surface for the skin. We want to move things out. We don't want that greasy coat that's trapping these toxins into the body. Definitely, I am a big advocate of keeping them bathed. Sometimes in some of these really allergic dogs, we might be doing it once a month, but it's not the same as used to be. Sorry, I was going to say once a week even, on some of these guys, but it's not the same as what it used to be decades ago when the shampoos were more toxic and caustic. And there's so many good shampoos out there nowadays. A natural shampoo, you can also use apple cider vinegar as a rinse, mixing it with some water. If you don't want your pet to smell like a salad, you can also use lemon juice, same kind of an effect. Definitely wiping those paws using Epsom salts also are very good for pulling things out of the tissue. Want to make sure those kidneys are being flushed with really good water, plenty of clean water available. Maybe adding water to the food, especially in the summer when it's hot. You want to make sure there's enough water going through the system. Supporting the kidneys, you can use a little bit of dandelion leaves to help with the kidney as well, if you want to just give it a little bit of a bump. And then there are many essential oils that we can use to reduce those toxins. Cedar wood is really, really good for helping at the skin level and helping to guard against those environmentals. And this may be one that you would use topically or as in a diffuser. Cilantro, again, you can use the cilantro plant, but you can use it as an essential oil and add a little bit of that into a diffuser. It does not take much cilantro. Rosemary grows wild. You can grow it plants. We have bushes out here where I live of rosemary, so you can clip it. Sometimes I'll even have my pet parents take the rosemary or the thyme and actually make a tea. So they put some of the real leaves into a glass jar, add some boiling water, let it sit there and seep, and then they'll add a couple tablespoons of that into their food. Tangerine is very, very good for the supportive digestive system, supporting it. You'll see many of the traditional Chinese medicine herbs have tangerine in there. Lime is a great essential oil for detoxing. It's also one that's not as hot, so it's not going to be one that would create a problem. It's good with the liver. It's good with inflammation. Geranium is really, really good to help with increasing that urination, so helping to move things out of the kidney. Juniper berry, so this is a type of a cedar tree, has in little blue berries, super high in antioxidants. Those trees grow many different areas. In the Midwest, where I'm originally from, I would go out and pick some of them little blue berries and just chew on them. So you've got a lot of great options out there. Then there's some other ones that we can look at that are company specific. CBD Dog Health Ease is one that helps support the digestive system. Sometimes as the body is going through these detox stages, you may end up having problems with some nausea or some bloating, so it can help to calm that. Zendocrine is by doTERRA. It helps to get out those free radicals. Adored Beast Rebalancer is one that's really, really good after vaccination. Some of you still, wherever you live, may feel the need to do some of that, but you want to help to detox that. And then On Guard and Thieves are two really good general antimicrobial type of essential oils. I also like to incorporate some of the Ayurveda botanicals to help reduce toxins. So we have to look at what does this body have. So amalaki is good in a situation where there's a lot of pitta. So pitta is going to be heat. So we've got that red, inflamed, fiery skin. And so we want to do something to help support the stomach function, maybe cleanse the colon, help get that heat out. Bilva, Bibataki, and some of the others are really good for kapha. So kapha is where bodies tend to retain fluids. They hold things in. This is where you get more that oily, the fluid retention. So there's some other items here that I utilize to help bring down that kapha and help support either the GI and getting rid of the toxins or help support the liver and the kidneys. Then we want to also be able to purify the blood. A lot of times it's just the blood is toxic and the spleen is having problems. And so we want to be able to help get that blood cleansed as well. And then that last step is to rejuvenate. We want to bring back that vitality, help those older bodies get out there and be able to enjoy life again. Or a younger one that's been sick. Maybe there was some condition that they've been going through, and now you're to bring that body back. So I have my Tai Chi Wawa program. It's a very low impact. It's a body massage type, extension, stretching, getting oxygen to all of that tissue so it can heal. That's a big part of the healing process as well, is improving oxygen to all the cells. Alrighty, then here is a little bit of a breakdown and a review of what this functional medicine part of my LifeExtend method is about. We want to identify, not just on the surface, but we want to identify deep, find out what's the real why. Why did this problem begin with? Evaluate the environment, what's going on there, look at the lifestyle. Is this individual happy? We want to add in some exercise along the way to whatever that individual can adapt and tolerate. We want to keep that body in motion because that'll make that rejuvenation stage be easier than when that time comes. Support the body systems, whether it's with Ayurveda, physiotherapy, so massages, acupuncture, chiropractic, being able to do any type of Reiki, just things like that with the body. And then keeping that mind stable, knowing where the balance point is and helping them to be able to have that happy day as most often as they can. Nutritionally, we want to find out what is needed and what is not needed. We don't want to be doing guessing. This is where the FER TMA test comes in, and looking at all those different feeding options that I discussed. Clean out what you can and get rid of those toxic residues. So washing those paws, doing the baths. You can even have a spritzer before you go out to help kind of put like a little raincoat over the top of them. Doing the things then with the digestive tract to help move, supporting the kidneys, just helping all those organs of elimination to work as easily as they can and not pushing them. Sometimes people get so wound up in this toxic thing that they want to get them out right away, but you have to support the organs first. You got to make sure that they can handle it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with somebody who feels worse than what they did before. We don't want that. All righty then. So that is my program to share with you today. I thank you all for being a part of this, for your interest in functional medicine, and for your interest in finding other ways and avenues to help your pets live better lives. And above all, looking for those things that do no harm. So thank you for being a part, and I look forward to sharing other information with you down the road. Happy trails.